Hi, this is Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that spotlights the stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So sit back, relax, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know.
I couldn't think of a better way to usher in Christmas than with my guest today on the Someone You Should Know podcast. I have known this guy since the original Someone You Should Know days. Will you please welcome my friend, comedian Heywood Banks. Heywood, welcome aboard, buddy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rick.
I was just looking at some photos here. The last time I actually saw you was at the Hobart Art Theater just before COVID. It was February 29th, 2020, just before COVID, back in those days.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was just thinking about that because Leslie said, didn't we see him just before COVID? I'm going, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to share something with you. Leslie and I stumbled across something on YouTube I wanted to share with you and for listeners. I stumbled across the HBO Young Comedy special, and I'm guessing based on the hairstylings of Paul Rodriguez, who was the host there, it's got to be late 80s, early 90s. When did when did your comedy routine actually start? When did you actually start as a stand-up comic?
Well, I started out as a folk singer.
Okay.
And I dropped out of school when I was 20. I dropped out of college and hit the road to be a folk singer, and I was class clown and whatever, I've always, my brain just, works in mysterious ways and like everybody else's. And the first songs I ever wrote were funny songs. So it's, I just went on the road to try, because there was no comedy clubs back in those days.
Right, yeah.
And there was really no template to do anything in show business, other than going to musical theater or so. But I was a folk singer for like probably 13 years. And I was doing funny stuff in between because it was like the disco era. And I didn't want to play Staying Alive and, what other.
Right. Yeah.
And, so I was doing funny stuff in between the songs, when I'd play like a Mountain Jack's, which is like a chain restaurant that has fish and seafood. And they had a bar that was like the holding tank for people waiting to go in to eat. And there'd be a little, foot high stage in the corner. And, me and, a number of other guys, would rotate through there, and you'd play four 45-minute sets a night, 6 nights a week.
Oh my!
Or week after week, and I'd got married, and I had 2 small kids, and I would, I'd play like a club someplace, and I would make $400, and then, on the weekend, I make $200 a night. On the weekend, drive home, pay $343.41 for our mortgage, and then not work for like 2 weeks. And my wife somehow fed us and clothed us on $60 for a month. So, but it got to one. So one day she says, "Why don't you? It's like I didn't have any. There's big spaces of time where you don't have any work. So she said, well, why don't you go up to the comedy club in Lansing, Michigan, and do something up there. And so I went up on a open mic night, and I just took out the serious songs out of my show that I've written and just left the funny things in and the jokes, and they immediately hired me for that weekend.
Wow.
As a
awesome.
As a middle, and then like 2 weeks later I headlined the club.
Good
and I just
Lord.
kind of went on from there.
So your wife was the prophet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Go forth and spread comedy.
Well, it was like, I liken it to in the Matrix, when Neo's dead, from fighting in the Matrix or whatever, and Trinity, his girlfriend, comes up and kisses him like the prince in Snow White,
mm-hmm.
and he wakes up and she says, "Now get up." It's the same kind of inspirational.
All right. Can you think back to the very first comedy song you wrote? It's hard. I can't think of any of the early comedy stuff that I did, because I know it just came flooding in when I started. I couldn't remember which one was first, but how about you?
Yeah, I had this. I remember. I think I was about 16 or something, 15 or 16. I wrote, "Me love's locked up in me Frigidaire. It'll be a year today." She said, "I'd never keep her, but she's kept quite well, I'd say."
Good one. You got a brand new album out for the holidays, new holiday standards. From that album, we're going to feature one that's relatively new. I think this one came out like last year, Scandinavian Baby. Can you give us the background on that one?
Well, I try sometimes to write a song. It's you might take especially in Christmas songs, I like to kind of deconstruct and reconstruct some concept. And one is that, the portrayal of Jesus, in every picture you ever see. So so I kind of deconstruct, it's the same with I took Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer and turned it into Rudy the red-nosed bioluminescent Rhinitis caribou. Rudy the radioactive bioluminescent Rhinitis caribou. And kind of a before the band kind of thing,
Right, real good. Tell you what, let's go ahead and feature that one right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast. My guest today, Heywood Banks. His album is called New Holiday Standards, and here is Scandinavian Baby on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
She was going into labor when they checked into the stable. That black-haired, brown-eyed woman and her black-haired, brown-eyed man. Oh, when that baby came, was a miracle, they all exclaimed. A miracle that night in that old little town of Bethlehem. 'Cause they all saw a Scandinavian baby in the manger. It looked just like a sweet in swaddling clothes. A Finn was in the cradle, playing with a dreidel. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. We've seen pictures of the baby when he was all grown up, in Bible illustrations and the TV shows. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and a toga, like a frat boy from Minnesota. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. Mary said, "Joe, we need to talk, you see an angel flew into my room," she did explain. Long story short, she said, "Now listen, hon, that's how we got a blonde-haired, blue-eyed son." Joseph said, "Jesus." She said, "Ooh, I like that name." 'Cause they all saw a Scandinavian baby in the manger. Looked just like a Swede in swaddling clothes. A Finn was in the cradle, playing with a dreidel. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. We've seen pictures of the baby when he was all grown up, in Bible illustrations and the TV shows. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and Birkenstocks, like the manager of the Copenhagen Food Co-op. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. Well, it's hard to put one over on three wise men. Maybe one or two, but never three. They brought frankincense as a baby gift. Should have brought Swedish meatballs in a covered dish. Joseph said, "But this is my son." And they all said, "There's no way." 'Cause they all saw a Scandinavian baby in the manger. It looked just like a Swede in swaddling clothes. A Finn was in the cradle, playing with a dreidel. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. We've seen pictures of the baby when he was all grown up, in Bible illustrations and the TV shows. They all said, "Hey Maria, he could work at the Dubai IKEA." The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. At the Sermon on the Mount, the crowd that gathered there had never seen a Scandinavian, it's true. But none could forget the voice they heard when Jesus spoke those immortal words. "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." 'Cause they all saw a Scandinavian baby in the manger. It looked just like a Swede in swaddling clothes. A Finn was in the cradle, playing the dreidel. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. We've seen pictures of the baby when he was all grown up, in Bible illustrations and in TV shows. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and a toga, like a frat boy from Minnesota. The sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and a toga, the Alpha Omega from Minnesota. That sweet Norwegian Jesus we all know.
Great new music from Heywood Banks, Scandinavian Baby, from his new album called New Holiday Standards. What's Christmas like, or the holidays like at your house? Any particular traditions that stand the test of time?
Well, mainly it's me cursing at putting up the Christmas tree. But, no, my wife, we have a back room that has a 16-foot ceiling, and my wife always wants a 17-foot tree.
Oh no!
And so for years I decorated. I'm 6'3", and I would decorate a 16-foot tree with a 6-foot ladder. So
you're still short.
Yeah. So you kind of have to decorate the tree before you put it.
Well, here's the funny thing about that. You're talking about a 6-foot ladder on that comedy special. You kept on emphasizing, this is not a step. This is not a step. How appropriate. See, it's the circle of comedy.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. It all translates into something from something else. Yeah.
All right, very good. So we're we're into the winter season now. We've got snow, slush, and salt all over the streets. So the most apropos song I could think of is Wiper Blades. I'm
Beautiful.
guessing, were you happen to be sitting in traffic when you came up with this song, or maybe just heading out to a comedy gig when you see your car completely covered with snow and ice?
Yeah, and sometimes songs come from just one little thought. Like I was actually, there's a Cranberry song. I think they were the Cranberries, and the girl was going,
zombie.
And I don't know what it was.
Yeah, zombie.
And I was sitting there, and the wiper blades were going on while that was going on, going, my whipper, so it's just like, it came from that little seed, and I put it into an entire song.
Wonderful. We're going to feature that one right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast, with a reminder to make sure you check your wiper blades before you head on out today on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Oh, winter's here with all the ice and snow, and the surly slush upon the road. Oh, the salty spray upon my window makes me wish that I'd replace my wiper blades. My whipper blades. My whipper blades. My whipper blades. I wish that I'd replace my wiper blades. Salty spray from semis that do pass, they turn my windshield into bathroom glass. I turn the knob, but I come to the conclusion that I did not fill up my washer solution. My whipper fluid. My whipper fluid. My whipper fluid. I wish that I'd replace my wiper fluid. Whipper blades. My whipper blades. My whipper blades. I wish that I'd replace my wiper blades. Down the expressway 80 mph, I can make out headlights, taillights, frosted shapes. But down by the dash is a clearing where both blades do scrape. I can see fine if I lay on the passenger seat. My whipper blades. My whipper blades. My whipper blades. I wish wish that I'd replace my wiper blades. My whipper, whipper, whipper blades. My whipper, whipper, whipper blades. One time on delay. My whipper, whipper, wiper blades. I wish that I'd replace my wiper blades.
Great song, by the way. I mean, I know that strange thing is just trying to narrow down 5 songs. Normally, my guests get only 3 songs, but because it's you, we're narrowing it down to 5 songs because
good.
Because the thing is, I remember, of course, Toast was the very first one that exposed me to you on the Bob and Tom Show. But the ones that I really and truly loved were One I Know. I loved that one. Dead Guys. And the thing is, musically, those are still good songs, even if you take the comedy out. You know, so kudos and props to you there, buddy.
So, well, that's the thing. You know who Tom Lear is?
Of course, yes.
You know, Tom Lear is, for people that don't know, he was a math professor at MIT, and he was also a great piano player, like classical piano player. And back in the 50s, he had a series of albums out, An Evening Wasted with Tom Lear. It was one that I was given when I was 14, and his whole concept of writing a song was a beautiful melody with subversive lyrics, and that's kind of been the template. So that, you know, if somebody thinks, you know, it's like, oh, if they find themselves humming, you know, my wiper, da, 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 you know, and then they realize it's about wiper blades, or a song about the pancreas or dust mites.
Well, I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't feature your magnum opus, your Stairway to Heaven, the classic Toast. Origins of the Toast. Where did that come from? Were you just sitting there waiting for a bagel to pop out, and all of a sudden, where did this come from?
Actually, you know, you were talking about when you first started doing comedy, how things just, like, you know, flooded out. When I first transitioned into the character of Heywood, you know, it's like when you're a kid and you're wearing your favorite shirt to school, and somebody goes, "Oh man, why are you wearing that shirt?" And you have to go, "Oh, my mom made me wear it." You know, It's like slowly as you go through life, you know, pieces of your true self get trimmed off so you can kind of fit into, you know, as a cog into society. And but as the character of Heywood, I could be anything, and I could be, you know, get into people's faces and do stuff that I never would do, you know, trying to be a respectable gentleman. And I went to, you know, I was taking, it was the time when people were doing a lot of performance art, and so I thought, well, you know, I was going through Salvation Army or something, and I found a toaster. I said, oh, maybe I can make toast on stage. And so I had a big suitcase full of props and stuff. So I had the toaster there, and I was in New Jersey at a disco it was in New York, in the South Bronx. It was a disco in the basement, or a comedy club in the basement of a disco. This was 1980, and they still thought it was 1972. You know, with Staying Alive upstairs. And I was middling, and so I was waiting to go on, and so I'm just like, I've got the toaster, and I'm just like tapping. I'm going, toast, yeah, around the country and coast to coast. People ask me what I like most. I don't want to brag. I don't want to boast. I would say, well, I like toast. Yeah, toast. You know, it just like came into my head, and so I went on stage, and that's the first thing I did, and the audience just loved it, and then they hated everything I did after that.
It's a double-edged sword.
So I thought, well, gee, maybe I should move this towards the end of the show.
Wow, yeah. Encore. That's the Encore song now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And,
well, here's a question for you. Since you use forks out there on your toaster and such, is there a specific tuning fork that you use to make sure that it's in tune? They're all forks. They're all tuning forks. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Let's go ahead and play it. I know you've been thinking about it. I know you've probably heard it in the past. It would not be the same without hearing the classic Toast from Heywood Banks on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
All around the country and coast to coast. People always say, what do you like most? I don't want to brag, I don't want to boast. I always tell them I like toast. Yeah, toast! Yeah, toast! I get up in the morning about 6 a.m. Have a little jelly, have a little jam. Take a piece of bread, put it in the slot. Push down the lever and the wires get hot. I get toast. Yeah, toast! Yeah, toast! Now, there's no secret to toasting perfection. There's a dial on the side and you make your selection. Push to the dark or the light, and then if it pops too soon, press down again, make toast. Yeah, toast! When the first caveman drove in from the dregs, I didn't know what would go with the bacon and the eggs. Must have been a genius, got it in his head. Plug the toaster in the wall, buy a bag of bread, make toast. Yeah, toast! Oh oui, monsieur, bonjour, coquette. En croissant de Chevy Corvette. Maurice Chevalier, Eiffel Tower. Oh, et Marie, get bonsoir. French toast! French toast! In Chicago, or where the heck I am right now. Yeah, toast! Yeah, toast.
The classic Toast from Heywood Banks. He's my guest today on the Somebody You Should Know podcast. Prior to modern technology, when I was writing for the All-Star Comedy Network, I always had a pad or two of paper by the bedroom and the bathroom. It always seemed to be two places where I always came up with my comedy. And that was... I was wondering, did you have anything similar to that?
Are you saying that stuff just came out of you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow, just hitch a ride on a star there.
Absolutely, just during the time of
You leave the crap I'm writing these.
These are crappy jokes. I was wondering, do you keep a notepad with you just about anywhere? They just come anywhere? Or I know technology has changed. Did you keep a little pocket recorder, or what did you do?
Well, every possible thing. I've piles of scraps of paper that I try every once in a while. I try and condense them onto my computer. But yeah, it's like for writing comedy, it's like your brain has puts an antenna up and to catch those things out of the ether, or just random thoughts, things that people say, things you hear that could be moved into something. It's like it. I liken it to if you buy a Volkswagen, and all of a sudden you see all the Volkswagens on the road, and in the same way with comedy, it's like when because that's especially if that's your job, then your brain is tuned into that frequency. It's like, okay, what, and you try and point it at everything, oh, here's a blender. What can I write about that? What can I talk about? Here's the car repair. Here's the, and just, try and, formulate something from that. But especially for writing songs, I've found that being older, it's actually easier to write stuff because I have more to draw on.
Right. It's strange, Heywood. Leslie hates it when I sing along with songs because I often change the lyrics, and it's because I don't have the greatest hearing to start with. Any Elton John song could be anything in my realm because I don't hear things properly, and that's how a lot of my comedy jokes came to be, or comedy songs came to be, was just because I misheard something. And Ingvald always told me comedy is nothing more than 15 degrees off normal. And that's always been kind of a true to me. As far as any time I would write a song, I usually ruin the songs for Leslie now. But it is one of those things where she's just, don't you even sing along with a Sting song.
Well, and I think the degrees the degrees are changing. Maybe Ingval's 15 off of normal, but there's other people. Andy Kaufman 180.
180. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
It's like there's just anything that's not normal.
Right.
I think the thing is that people want to be surprised. I like comedy that like surprises you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm an old man now. I'm 72, which is a lifelong goal to be room temperature. And
I'm using that in 10 years, pal.
Yeah, but it's like when you're 53, you're the same the same age as the length of a truck. It's like that. But
great, I'm gonna be running around looking for 62s everywhere. I broke Roger Maris's record.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Well, this next thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that every person I've had on, or any interview I've had along the years, it's all about those funny moments of getting, or actually it necessarily wasn't funny at the time, but it's called Tales from the Road, and it's all those infamous road stories of getting to a gig, something that happened at a gig, weird accommodations, weird places that you've played a gig. Anything coming to mind off the top of your head, Heywood?
Every place you go, it's what fresh hell is this, as Dorothy Parker said, and playing like a corporate event when you get up on stage, they've got an 8-foot stage and there's a 30-foot dance floor in front of you, and then people at the first people at round tables are like 40, 50 feet away from you.
Oh wow, that's gonna be hard.
In some cavernous place, it's like next to impossible to do that, but you have to go, well, I got the check. What
good one.
One time, years ago, I did a gig for Kroger Pharmacists, and this guy who hired me it was in Cincinnati, and I was playing in Cincinnati, I was playing in Dayton, and this guy came to my show for like almost 2 years saying, oh, you got to come and play. This would be great. People are going to love it. And so he got up, and it's like I started playing in bars, and people don't listen to you in bars. You have to do something. That's why I wrote like, excuse me, your forehead's on fire, or flies on something, because I was playing in a holding like it, and to just do something to get people's attention. So it's like, it doesn't bother me. It's like, yeah, I've played a lot of places where you can hear a pin drop, but it's, if people are talking, I'm just, I'm goal oriented, the check's
that's the big thing as far as that goes. Hey, okay, I'm done with my set. Who's got my check?
Yeah. And so, anyway, so I played, and there were a whole lot of young, pharmacists there, like people in their, 21 or 22. And they're the company party. Everybody hates a company party. And they're, in the back drinking and, and kind of talking. And after the show, the guy comes up and says, oh, I'm so sorry the people talk during your show. I said, oh, don't worry about it. It's like, doesn't bother me a bit. So he came to see me again, like 2 or 3 times, after that, and said, listen, will you please come back? I'm so sorry about, people talking and stuff. So I said, sure, it was I don't know, it was like, a nice check. I'm sure I'll come back and play. So I come back and play the next year, and there is not a sound in the room. And there is not a laugh, Twitter, a hitter, nothing. There is just, I go through the whole show, and you could take if you don't have laughter in a show, you can condense an hour show into about 35 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. What were they on? Were they on their own meds, or what was
it? No. So afterwards, it just occurred to me that this guy had bitched these people out.
Oh no.
And said, how dare you? Said, Heywood is a really great comedian, and you didn't pay any respect to him, and I'm not putting up with that. And so they just said, okay, well, So
Well, tell you what, we're going to feature another song here, and this is for all the guys who have had gone shopping during the holiday season. We're all in it together, guys. This song is called Bed Bath & Beyond. Heywood, the concept, did this happen while you were out shopping?
No, actually, I wrote this for my son. When you get your, when you get your first girlfriend.
Oh gosh. Okay. Here it is right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
I want to play a song for all the guys here. Like a graphic novel, your life used to be crazy. Rocking the microphone, all guns are blazing. You meet a hot chick and she really rocks your scene. Next thing you know, you wake up from the dream and you're at Bed Bath & Beyond. You're at Bed Bath & Beyond. You're at Bed Bath & before you know it, you're talking coupons. Used to be your life was all testosterone. You had inked up the pythons, but bad to the bone. You had planes to catch, you had blood to bleed. Next thing you know, you wake up from the dream and you're at Bed Bath & Beyond. You're picking out window treatments, Bed Bath & Beyond, and scented candles, Bed Bath & before you know it, you're talking thread count. Skydive, jump, extreme endurance, have to stop 'cause of insurance. Oh. Death cage match with bears and vipers, get permission from your wife first. Oh. Fast and furious, midnight race announced, minivan, decaf and sunscreen. Oh. Rage metal rap out Psycho Slayer, now you pump the treble on John Mayer. You are like a vicious pit bull named Barracuda. Growling with no collar and never to be neutered. Faster than a trainer can say shake, roll, sit. You're licking at the leash with a cone around your neck and you're at Bed Bath & Beyond. You're picking out potpourri, Bed Bath & Beyond, and bed skirts, Bed Bath & before you know it, you're holding a purse.
All right, that's for all the guys who have gone shopping with the ladies this holiday season. Bed Bath & Beyond from Heywood Banks, my guest today on the Someone You Should Know podcast. Wishing everyone out there a very happy holiday season. If it's Christmas, Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah, whatever it might be, we wish you all the best. What's in the works for 2023, Heywood?
Well, just more gigs, and I've signed with a company called 800 Pound Gorilla, and they're promoting my. They're promoting my songs on, like my Christmas album, and in fact, all my albums are on Spotify and Pandora, and a whole lot of stuff is going to be on Sirius XM. They're playing stuff on the kids channel too. So evidently I'm a kids.
Okay.
I always say, I'm an adult show you can bring kids to. They're not my kids. What? It's like a ticket's a ticket.
I always kind of wonder about how many kids walk away from your shows and start banging on toasters and other appliances.
Oh my God! The number of kids that have won their talent contest all over the world, all over the English-speaking and probably beyond world, using toast. From elementary school to middle school, high school. Their church camp, their scout camp, their just whatever camp, they have won the talent contest, and one of those little creeps has sent me a nickel, and that was my whole retirement, and not only they didn't send me any money, but they never even they have no idea. People have no idea it's my song.
Oh yeah, you're thinking if you stole it from some kid, that's shame on you.
I had a waitress come up to me after a show one time and said she got in an argument with a guy who said that his friend Billy wrote Toast in 5th grade, and why is this old man singing it?
Oh gosh! All right, buddy. So let's best links to. You mentioned Spotify, Apple Pod. You're all over the place as far as your music wise. How about tour dates and such? HeywoodBanks.com.
Main thing, all I can think of off my top of my head. I'm playing Ann Arbor at the Arc in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the Arc in January 21st, and I've got all my dates will be at HeywoodBanks.com. Heywood with an E, HeywoodBanks.com. And if you want a good old fashioned CD, I will be glad to sign a CD for you. They're all available on the site. Sometimes it makes a great coaster or a skeet, or if you live in a northern climate, you need something to clean your windshield. You can't download
blades, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up the show with another one from New Holiday Standards. You ain't getting deadly, squad. Hopefully that's not the case. Heywood, thanks so much for being a guest on my Someone You Should Know podcast. I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Good luck with the plumber and your cable.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rick. It's so nice to talk to you.
God bless you, brother. Take care, and we wish you the very best, and we hope to see you sometime in 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Hey kids, gather round. Heywood's got a little song for you here. Oh, I just got a message from old Saint Nick way up in Christmas land. And he says the toys for good girls and boys are being made as planned. There's a truck for little Billy and a dolly for Molly dear. But you ain't getting diddly squat, 'cause you're really messed up this year.
No, you ain't getting diddly squat, 'cause you're really messed up this year.
Oh, the winter fields are white with snow and the lights are shining bright. And the wee little heads tucked up in beds dream of sugar plums this night. You may dream of big red apples and candy canes so near, but you ain't getting diddly squat, 'cause you're really messed up this year.
No, you ain't getting diddly squat, 'cause you're really messed up this year.
When your mother asked you to wash the dishes, why you said no, no, no. And you would not pick up your sock, so it's que sera, horse face, ho, ho, ho. Oh, you know that Santa's watching you and he keeps a great big list. But when I tell him the things you do, he really will be mad. 'Cause when you sit upon his knee, he'll knock you on your ear, 'cause you ain't getting diddly squat, 'cause you're really messed up this year.
Oh, you ain't getting diddly squat,
'cause you really messed up, or you're really messed up, or you're really messed up this year.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.